Good evening, traders. Welcome to the weekly market review. I'm your host, Paul. In this video, we're going to look at the S&P, the Nasdaq. Going to add the Russell this week. We're also going to look at some select stocks and Bitcoin. So let's get started. And we're going to start with the upcoming economic calendar. And next week will be a very quiet week. There's really only one major data point. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there's just nothing there. Got the New York manufacturing index, but that won't move the market much. Thursday, retail sales. That's the really only big data point coming out. And they're looking for an uptick. So previous month, there was a 0.1% increase, expecting a 0.3% increase. So let's see if that happens and see what the reaction is. You also have Philly Fed. Also looking for uptick there. So everything seems to be looking good on the data points recently. CPI, PPI, everything's looking good to keep the market churning higher. Friday, some housing data, but I don't expect any reaction really from the market on those. So quiet week this week. Do have earnings starting to pick up. Banks have already started and start having companies coming in, but there's no big earnings next week. None of the big tech ones yet. So I think all in all, just a relatively quiet week. All right, let's go on to the chart, and we'll start with the S&P. And a new week, and we got yet another new high going into the S&P. So to me, this piece over here very much looks like they're making an any diagonal, because I've been saying I think that's 1, and then they came down for 2, and I think this is all the third wave. Got a 5-wave move, shallow correction, and now I think they're making an any diagonal. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm expecting a pullback, assuming that the top is in at 58.68. Expecting a pullback down into low 58, upper 5700s. That'd be for 4, and then go back up one more time for 5 to complete the third wave, and then you get a bigger pullback. So that's the pattern that makes the most sense. They could make like an expanding flat here, like this was A, and then this 3-wave move B, and then like come all the way down. That's a possibility too. I'd be looking for a buy setup in this purple zone. It's possible that it comes underneath all this stuff, kind of still back into this purple zone over here. So you'd be looking like 5,700 then. But I think I'd be looking for a turn in the market when it reaches down into that zone. But yeah, I still only want to be buying. If for some reason you're not in, or you decided to take profit, I think this would be the first logical place to get back in for the S&P. Nasdaq. All right, the Nasdaq, it's got several patterns that are in play here. The one that makes the most sense to me is that they're making also a diagonal. So we had this flat here, running flat, and then up. I think that was 1, came down for 2. And then they had 5, shallow correction also, went up, then gave this expanding correction, and then went up. And it's the third wave target is this blue zone here. So I think this is all just the third wave. So 1, 2, and then like an ABC, choppy, for the third wave, and they should be coming down again. And it did get a little bit of a late day sell-off. This is on the futures, so it won't show up on the Nasdaq index itself. Only on the futures you would see this last little push down. I think like this is A, B, and like one more push down into one of these zones down here would make the most sense for me. And then you'd have 1, 2, 3, and then this would be a perfect 4 zone to go back up then for the 5th zone and break both of these highs, the 20,508 and the 538 high. And then there would be a bigger correction. Just like the S&P, there's also the possibility that this 3-wave move down, and then you got this 3-wave move, and they could come like all the way down under 19.8 and give you like a big ABC look before it would reverse. So that possibility exists, but I only want to be long the market. So again, if you're for some reason not in, I think this would be a perfect place if they're going to make the diagonal for them to come down for the 4 and then head back up. I do think though that once 2538 breaks, that there will be a bigger correction, not the big one yet, because I think this whole thing, we go way back out. I think this is one over here, and this is 2. I think they're still all making the 3rd wave. The 3rd wave target for the Nasdaq is actually up here, just above the all-time high. 21,243 is actually the 3rd wave target. So that's why I don't see them coming all the way down to here, because it wouldn't fit with what I think is happening. So if they do, then I'm gonna have to re-look at this whole thing. But I think pushing up makes the most sense. So both look really good, but both S&P and Nasdaq are, I think, needing a correction down. All right, let's take a look at the Russell this week. So going out to a 4-hour, it also is looking like it needs a correction, because from this October low of 23, all I see is this 1, 2, and then 3 waves up. So like an A, a B, and then here's like a 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your A, B, C correction. Well, yeah, it's a correction. And then they got that really sharp sell-off in August. And that was so straight. And they, not unless they, like that was the A, and then this is the B, and then this is the C. I think this is all, this is your 3-wave correction, and it should be coming back down one more time. So all in all, what I'm looking for, and that this would kind of match up with what I see on the Nasdaq and S&P, that if those are going to correct, then this thing should correct. And so if this is the A wave, very straight down, this should be the B wave, and then you get the C wave down, and then I'll head back up. So that's what I would be looking for. But just like all the others, this could be possibly, here's an ABC. And as it stands right now, this is just an ABC. So there is a possibility that this thing would come like all the way down. I don't know, that's a really, really big drop. I can't see that big of a drop. I just see like coming down into that range. So upper 1900s, and then go back up. So that's what I see on the Russell. So let's look at some stocks, and we're going to look at AMD as usual. This looks like it's making a running flat here, or this whole thing looks like actually a diagonal. 1, 2, 3, 1, and then this is 2, and then they hit the 3rd wave target. I'm just not sure that the 3rd wave is actually done yet. It is 3 waves, hit a WXY, hit a little ABC, and then you hit an ABC up. So there's three waves, but the way this came down right into this first purple zone, it could be that they got one more push up to break 174 to complete the third wave. So it would still be in that blue zone then. But then there's going to be a sell-off for the fourth wave, because I think if that's 1 and 2, they'll be finishing 3, and then they got to come down for the 4, obviously. So wouldn't be buying here for sure. This is something that you already got to be in, because even if you were to buy it, it's just going to go up, and at any moment after 174, it's going to be coming down into the like 150s, and possibly, well, depending on where that third wave would end, could come down to like 148. So yeah, I'd only be waiting for this pullback down for 4. So like something in the low to mid 150s, I think would be absolutely perfect for it then to go up for the fifth wave. So possible that it's got one more wave up, but I could really see them just coming straight down like next week. And then in this zone becomes, I think, really, really attractive. All right, Amazon. Amazon to me looks like it's got one more down. This was a really shallow correction, but this really took off. There are a little micro 3 waves here, a little 1, 2. Actually, I think it's got to go up one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then I think then you'd have a little 3 wave. I could definitely see them coming back to 180. And then I'd be looking. I mean, it could come down into this green box, and then that's really an attractive place to be buying. But yeah, I'd definitely only want to be long Amazon, because it's going to go and break its 201 high. But yeah, one more trip down to 180, and because you had this 5-wave move, there's got to be a correction. It could be the ABC is all that the correction is, down to this 180, and now they're going to go up. But I think one more drop, and especially with what I see in the S&P and Nasdaq, one more drop for those correcting down. So I if that matches up, I could definitely see Amazon being at 180 or lower, and then it just becomes really, really attractive down here for pushing up to 195 and then eventually breaking 201. All right, who else we got here? Oh, we got to show Tesla, because I had this one wrong. Really thought that they were going to be making this diagonal that I showed last week to go up and break that 271. So I thought it was 3 waves there, and then that was 2, and then they came up for 3, and then this was just very corrective looking. Thought that was going to be 4, and then they were going to be going up, but no, then they just started selling off, and then the robo-taxi news came out, and that spooked a lot of investors. So now that just opens up the door to just a whole host of patterns that could be in play, because now all this is a 1, 2, 3 wave pattern, and now you just got to decide on if you're a bear or a bull, because if you're a bear, you're going this ABC, that was correction, and now it's going to come back down to 138, and then this 3 wave move, that's 1, this 3 wave move is 2, and this, now we got a 5 wave move, so there will be a correction, but then you're going to get one more drop. So this could be just the start of the 3rd wave, and then you get a 4th wave, and then you're going to get a 5th wave to come take out 138. And then on the bullish side, you're just saying that this ABC, that's 1, and this is probably 2, or they could actually come down one more time to 182 in that 180 range, and that would be 2. But if you want to be ultra bullish, this is 2, and then this 3 wave is just the start of the 3rd wave, and then this 5 wave move is gonna, if that's 1 or like A actually, then they're creating the B wave. Got the first part down, you get the correction up, so it would be A, you get a B, and then you're going to get a C wave, break that 214 again. That'll be the B wave, and then the 3rd wave is going to rocket up and take everything out. So basically, what I'm looking for is definitely a correction. The 214 could be the low of this 5 wave move. Some type of correction up, and then a break of 214. And then it's at this moment that this will tell what's really going on. Because if it gets really strong and they're pushing down, then, and they start taking out 182, then I think it really opens the door to 138. But if it's just a correction and they just break 214 and then they start to reverse it up, then obviously I think this is 1, 2, and now you're going up for 3. So, yeah, next week I kind of would be expecting a little bit of a correction up, but still one more down then, and then the fun begins. All right, let's look at. No, we got to look at XBI because I showed this last week, and this one I thought it looked really good last week, and now I feel like I got the confirmation. So really exploded off of that 95 low, and I think this is just going to be a 3 wave move. And so at a minimum, at some point here, there should be a correction down to into the 97s, and something like into the 96 actually would be better, because then this could be the start of a nice diagonal. It'd be 1, 2, and then you'd be going up for 3, 4, 5. So I think BioTech looks really good, but I just wouldn't be buying right here. I think you'll be able to get a correction next week, which would also line up with what the S&P and Nasdaq are going to do. So I think any pullback would be a great buying opportunity. ZScaler, pretty much just like everything else, just really took off this week. Zooming out, to me, this looks very, very impulsive. So I'm looking for this to be 1, this to be 2. I can count 5 waves up, and I think this is 3. So a natural location for 4, if they're going to make an impulse, would be in this 188 to 194 range, and then head back up for the 5th wave. So you already started to get a little bit of a pullback here at the end of the day. And I think this is a perfect place to play for a short-term trade, because after this 5 wave move, then there will be a bigger correction, and you probably actually be able to buy underneath this purple box. It just depends on how high that 5th wave goes. But yeah, definitely for a nice short-term trade, which would be probably, yeah, I think somewhere in the 6 to 7% range you could get for that 5th wave if they're going to make the impulse. But then, yeah, I think you'd want to be selling it if this plays out, because then you'll be able to buy it, like I said, probably underneath where you bought it here anyway. Might be able to get it into the low 180s, and then after that 5 wave move, then BioTech looks fantastic. So as it stands right now, it's just 3 ways, but this is just looking very impulsive. Just got overbought. RSI showing very overbought conditions. So yeah, I think any pullback will be scooped up, and you can play for that 5th wave. It would be a nice trade. All right, Bitcoin. All right, so Bitcoin came down and gave us the 5 waves that I was looking for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just exploded up off of that 58 level. Now you can't be buying here because it just went straight up. I mean, and now you're starting to get a nice sell off. So let this correct. Obviously, if it could come down into like 61 or even like 60 range, I think that's a great buying location. But after that explosive move, I don't see that matching up with anything over here. I don't think this is a running flat because this is just a three-wave move, and then a 5. And so this can't be like a running flat or anything. So I think this is just the start of an impulse going up, and I think you just need to wait for some type of correction and get in and then ride it up. And then you just got to watch. There is the possibility that, this ABC, that was A, maybe they give this ABC look and then still one more down back into the green zone. But, the possibility exists, but I'd only want to be long Bitcoin. So you'd have to just make a determination of if you buy it here and then it goes back up to break the high of 63,438, then what do? Do you just hold on and you don't care if it comes down or what? But yeah, I'd only want to be long, and I think they're going to be giving you an opportunity for at least a short-term trade, if not going up to break 66 and go higher. Alrighty, folks, that's the market as I see it. Hope it helps. Thanks for your likes and support. Good luck. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next week.